Hey everyone. Today we're stepping into a place most people avoid, the emotional space between men and women that rarely gets talked about but quietly determines who stays, who leaves, and who's unforgettable. Picture this: a crowded cafe. She walks in, confident, headphones on, face unreadable. You notice the eyes that never glance your way, the posture that dares the world to try and get close. And you think, she's out of reach, too strong, too sure. But what if you're wrong? And if you think you can control how others feel about you, then maybe that's exactly what you haven't let go of yet. So before you get too comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you really enjoy what I do here. Let me know where you're tuning in from and what time it is over there. Now turn off the lights, maybe turn on a fan for some soft background noise, and let's begin today's journey together. Because behind that cold stare, that well-rehearsed laugh, that independent posture, there's something else. Something most men never see. A quiet ache, a hidden softness, a deep buried desire for something real. And if you know where to look, you'll find it. You've spent years trying to impress, to chase, to win her over. But the irony: the more you try, the less she sees you. The more you give, the more she pulls away. That's not your fault, it's how we were taught. What they didn't teach you is that a woman's hidden weaknesses, the things she'll never say out loud, are not flaws. They're emotional windows. And the man who sees them, he doesn't chase. He doesn't beg. He simply becomes the one she remembers. You don't need to be rich. You don't need a six-pack. You don't need to rehearse clever pickup lines in the mirror. What you need is awareness. Emotional awareness is the rarest currency in a world that values flash over substance. It's not loud. It doesn't announce itself. But when you walk into a room and carry it with you, people feel it, especially women. You think she's hard to read. You think she's fine. But something in her posture shifts when someone brings up her father. Her voice drops slightly when she talks about a dream she had to let go. She glances down when you mention trust. You don't need to be a therapist to notice it, you just need to be present. Ooh. Most men don't notice because they're too focused on the outcome. Is she into me? Do I look confident? What should I say next? But the man who can tune in to what's not being said, who can sense the energy shift, even the flicker of discomfort behind a smile, that man becomes unforgettable. Not because of how he talks, but because of how he listens. Not just to words, to the space between them. Philosophers still debate the nature of consciousness, but one thing is certain: attention is love. And she can feel the difference between a man who's waiting to speak and one who's truly paying attention. It's like watching a good actor in a bad movie. Something stands out: restraint, gravity, presence. You feel drawn to them even if you can't explain why. That's what awareness does. It draws her in by making her feel seen, not as an idea, not as a prize, but as a whole, complicated person. She may never tell you what she's been through, but she'll show you in glances and sarcasm, in the way she avoids eye contact during certain topics. And if you can hold that space without needing to fix it, without rushing to impress her with your empathy, you become rare. You become safe. Quirky observation. Okay, emotional awareness is kind of like being a human version of Spotify's algorithm. You just get the vibe before the playlist even starts. And look, I get it. Most guys were never taught this. You were taught to perform, to posture, to prove something. But the truth is, the women you want aren't impressed by noise. They're pulled in by stillness, by perception, by the man who notices her flinch when someone mentions forever. Because deep down, she's waiting to be seen, not for how she looks in a dress, but for who she is when she thinks no one's watching. Awareness is rare. It takes practice. It takes restraint. But once you learn it, you won't need to chase anyone again. She says she doesn't need anyone. She looks you straight in the eye and tells you she's focused on herself, on her goals, on building her own world. And you believe her. Because why wouldn't you? She's composed. She's sharp. She's the kind of woman who can walk into a room and instantly shift the atmosphere, not with beauty, but with presence. And yet, there's something off. It's in the way she hesitates when you offer real closeness. It's in how she changes the subject when you ask how she's doing, really. It's in the laugh that's just a beat too loud, the "I'm fine" that lands a little too fast. Here's what no one told you: that kind of independence, it's armor. And that armor was built in layers, each one formed by disappointment, betrayal, or silence from a man who said he cared, then vanished when things got real. She's not cold, she's cautious. And the biggest mistake you can make is thinking that her strength means she doesn't feel. She feels deeply, she just doesn't want you to know that yet. So what does she do? She becomes her own protector, her own provider, her own comfort. Not because she never wanted someone else, but because wanting made her vulnerable and vulnerability came with pain. Now she wears self sufficiency like a designer jacket tailored impressive and suffocating. Most men see that armor and walk away. Or worse, they try to break through it with compliments, jokes, grand gestures. They try to prove themselves to her, and without realizing it, they become just another emotional risk she has to manage. But the man who doesn't try to fix her, who doesn't flinch when she withdraws, who remains steady, consistent, quiet, that man stands out. Because what she really wants but will never say is this: Can I lean on you without you disappearing? Can I open up without being punished for it? Will you stay calm even when I push you away just to see if you will? Philosophers still debate the paradox of freedom, that too much of it without connection feels like isolation. And this is what she's living through. She has her life in order, her schedule, her rituals, her skincare routine that costs more than your car insurance. But she craves something she hasn't had in a long time: reassurance. Without demand, presence, without pressure. Someone whose energy says, I'm not here to rescue you. I'm here to see you. You want a quirky comparison? Fine. Her independence is like a cat with a tiny bell on its collar. She wants you to think she's always out hunting alone, but part of her secretly hopes you'll listen for the sound and follow her home. And listen, you don't earn her trust by telling her she can trust you. You earn it by not leaving when it would have been easier to, by staying calm when she's difficult, by not reacting when she tests you, pushes you, withdraws. Her shield isn't there to scare you, it's there to see if you're worth lowering it for. And when you don't flinch, when you don't chase, but you don't leave either, that's when the first crack appears. That's when she begins to feel something she hasn't in a very long time. Safe. You think you need to say the perfect thing, that the right words will make her feel closer to you, that a romantic gesture will melt the distance, that if you just show enough effort, she'll finally let you in. But what if I told you it's not your words that matter most, it's your calm? Not fake calm, not the kind that masks anxiety with silence. I'm talking about real grounded presence, the kind that doesn't chase, the kind that doesn't flinch, the kind that stays when it's uncomfortable. Because here's a truth no one taught you growing up. When a woman starts to feel something for you, her fear doesn't go away, it amplifies. And in that moment, your energy speaks louder than anything you say. If you get rattled when she gets distant, she won't feel safe. If you raise your voice when she tests your patience, she'll shut down. If you panic when she's emotional, she'll decide you're just another man who can't handle her truth. But when you stay calm, not cold, not detached, just steady, something changes in her. She watches, she waits, she starts to breathe differently around you. Because in a world full of emotionally unpredictable men, your stillness becomes magnetic. Philosophers still debate the nature of masculine and feminine polarity. But here's a modern translation. She's not looking for control, she's looking for containment. Not in a cage, not in rules, but in presence, in the feeling that you won't collapse under the weight of her feelings. And you know what that looks like in real life. It's when she throws a sarcastic jab and you don't get defensive, you just smile. It's when she's quiet for an hour and you don't interrogate, you just sit with her. It's when she spirals about something small and you don't try to fix it, you just say, I'm here. You become the emotional version of a weighted blanket. Not exciting, not performative, but deeply comforting in a way she didn't know she needed. Quirky analogy time. Your calm is like that weirdly satisfying moment when a YouTube ad buffer doesn't buffer. It just plays, smooth, solid, reliable. And suddenly you feel like maybe the universe isn't trying to mess with you today. That's how she feels when you show up grounded. Because the truth is, she's been around men who talked big, flexed, hard made promises they couldn't keep. She's been disappointed by passion without depth. And now she wants something real, something steady. So when you show up with that kind of calm, the kind that doesn't need to prove anything, she starts to lean in. Not all at once, but gradually. Like a storm that decides to settle. Like a bird that lands after circling for hours. Because your calm does something her beauty, her success, her independence can't do for her. It gives her a safe place to exhale. And that not the flowers, not the compliments, not the witty texts, that's the moment you become unforgettable. She's upset. Again, you don't even know why. You thought things were fine. Maybe it was something small, a text you forgot to respond to, the way you brushed off her comment. Or maybe she just seemed off for no reason. And now she's crying. Or quiet. Or worse, distant. You feel that panic rise. You start thinking, this is too much. Why does everything have to be so emotional? You text your buddy, she's being dramatic, man. I don't get women. But here's a new lens, not softer, just clearer. What you call drama might be her trying to process emotions in the only way she knows how. Not with logic, not with neat bullet points, but with expression. Women don't heal through silence. They heal through speaking, through being heard, through knowing their pain isn't too heavy for someone else to carry, even for just a moment. Most men, they shut down, they freeze, they minimize. Can we talk about this later? Why are you so negative? It's not a big deal. And just like that, the door closes. Not loudly, not with a slam, but with a slow, quiet turning of the emotional lock. She may stay with you physically, but emotionally, she starts to pack her bags. Philosophers still debate the ethics of emotional labor, who should carry the burden, who should hold space. But in relationships, it's simple. She's not asking you to fix her feelings. She's asking you to feel them, to witness them, to sit in the fire with her without reaching for a fire extinguisher every time she gets warm. Look, she knows she's not always rational. She knows some of her reactions are bigger than the moment deserves. But emotional expression isn't about perfect logic. It's about release. And when you reject that, she hears something much louder than your words. She hears, "You are too much for me." And no woman wants to be too much. You want a quirky metaphor. Her emotional storms are like those phone software updates that pop up every few weeks. They're disruptive, unexpected, but necessary. Ignore them long enough and everything crashes. So, what does it look like to show up, right? It looks like holding her gaze instead of rolling your eyes. It sounds like I hear you. That must have been hard. It feels like staying put emotionally while she unpacks what she's carrying. Because when you do that, she softens. Her voice lowers. Her nervous system calms. Her respect for you deepens, not because you handled her, but because you didn't run. Most men never learn this. They think emotional strength means avoiding emotions. But real strength, it's sitting in discomfort without shutting down. It's saying, "I'm here not as a fixer, but as a witness." You don't need to analyze her tears. You don't need to solve her sadness. You just need to stand still while the wave passes. Because when she realizes you can hold her in her lowest moments, not with solutions, but with stillness, she won't forget it. She'll start to trust you, not just with her body, but with her story. And once she gives you that, you're no longer just the guy she likes. You're the man she respects. You hold the door open, you pay for dinner, you compliment her hair, her eyes, her smile 3 times in one evening. You ask if she's comfortable, if she's okay, if she's happy. You think you're doing everything right. But the more you try, the more distant she becomes. She responds politely, maybe even smiles. But deep down, something's off. She's slipping through your fingers and you can't figure out why. Let me say something that might sting a little, but you need to hear it. The more you try to impress her, the more invisible you become. Not because kindness isn't appreciated, not because she wants a jerk, but because when your actions are built on seeking approval, she can feel it. Philosophers still debate the nature of authenticity, whether our truest self is something we show or something we hide. But when it comes to attraction, here's what's true. The moment your behavior starts bending to please her, you stop being you. You start orbiting her. You second guess your opinions. You avoid conflict. You over explain. You make her the sun, and you become just another planet trying to earn a little warmth. You say, "I'm just being respectful," but she hears, "I don't trust myself. Please like me." And no matter how sweet she is, that kind of energy doesn't pull her in, it pushes her away. You want to know what really makes her lean in certainty. Not arrogance, not ego, but the quiet confidence of a man who doesn't perform. A man who can disagree with her calmly, who doesn't explain every little choice, who doesn't apologize for existing just because she seems unimpressed. You know that feeling when someone tries too hard to be funny. Like when a guy keeps quoting movie lines, hoping for a laugh, and everyone just sort of cringes. That's how trying to impress her feels emotionally. It's performative, it's exhausting, and it screams insecurity. Here's your quirky comparison. Trying to win a woman's affection by overperforming is like trying to win a staring contest with a mirror. You end up just watching yourself blink. She doesn't want a show, she wants a man who's already chosen himself. So stop asking if you said the right thing. Stop replaying the text messages you sent. Stop shrinking yourself to fit her preferences, real or imagined. Because when you try to be everything for her, you stop being anything to her. The most attractive energy in the world is this: "I like you, but I'll be fine if you don't choose me." That's not detachment, that's power. She respects the man who holds his ground, who speaks with intention, who doesn't panic when there's silence. She respects the man who lets her come to him because he's not in a rush to prove he's worthy. You don't earn her respect by proving you're harmless. You earn it by showing you're whole with or without her. So the next time you find yourself bending just to please her, stop. Take a breath. Ask yourself, am I doing this because it's who I am? Or because I'm afraid of not being enough? Because when you move from that fear, you hand her the script and wait for direction. But when you move from certainty, from groundedness, from real self respect, she stops looking through you and starts looking at you. And that's when you stop being forgettable and start being the one she can't stop thinking about. You think being open means telling her everything, your past, your pain, your plans. You think honesty means full disclosure, laying yourself bare on the first few dates so she knows you're real. But here's the twist no one told you. It's not your openness that pulls her in, it's your mystery. Not the kind that plays games or avoids intimacy, but the kind that signals depth. The kind that says, there's more to me than what I show, but only the right people get to see it. When you speak less, she leans in more. When you pause before answering, she listens more carefully. When you don't over explain yourself, she starts to wonder what you're made of. There's a power in restraint that most men never tap into because they're afraid that if they don't perform, they'll be forgotten. But the opposite is true. A man who doesn't rush to prove himself, that's the man she remembers. Philosophers still debate the tension between vulnerability and control, but in practice, it's simple. Vulnerability is not about dumping your soul onto someone's lap. It's about choosing who deserves your truth and offering it in small, meaningful doses. You ever notice how the most memorable characters in movies don't talk much? Think Clint Eastwood, Keanu, and John Wick. They speak when it matters, and that silence between words becomes magnetic. Women aren't drawn to endless detail. They're drawn to presence, to poise, to the man who feels solid even when he says nothing. Because here's what happens when you talk too much. You remove all curiosity. You give away the ending before she's even invested in the story. And curiosity, that's the seed of emotional obsession. Want a quirky metaphor? Oversharing too soon is like opening every tab in your browser at once. She's overwhelmed. Nothing stands out. She clicks away. But if you show her one window at a time, let her explore one part of you, then another. Then something unexpected she didn't see coming. You create a rhythm, a tension, a reason to stay. Here's the truth. No one tells nice guys you can be kind and still be mysterious. You can be warm and still hold boundaries. You can be emotionally available without being emotionally exposed. Stop thinking you have to spill everything to build trust. You don't. Trust is built when your energy feels safe, not your life story. Let her earn you, not because you're playing games, but because you value yourself, because your attention is selective, because you don't need to be seen by everyone to feel seen. You want her to think about you when you're not around. Say less, do less. Be present, not performative, because when you leave just enough space for her to wonder, when you carry yourself like a man who isn't waiting for validation, when you create the emotional silence that lets her imagination breathe, that's when she becomes intrigued. That's when she leans in. That's when she starts to chase. Not because you manipulated anything, but because in a world full of noise, your stillness made her feel something real. She tells you she's not looking for anything serious, that she's focusing on herself, that she's not ready to open up right now. You nod, play it cool, but deep down you wonder, is that the truth or is it a test? Because here's the real truth most men never see. She does want connection. She does want closeness, but she's terrified of loving you first. Not because she's cold, not because she's playing games, but because she's been here before and it ended badly. You see, love for her is risk. It's the kind of risk that doesn't just sting, it reshapes her. Philosophers still debate whether love is an act of freedom or surrender. But for her, it's both, and it's terrifying. Because the moment she feels more than you do, she loses control. And control is the only thing that's ever made her feel safe. So, when she starts feeling something real, her instincts don't tell her to run toward it. They tell her to protect herself from it. This is why she pulls back just when things start to get good. This is why she gets distant after a perfect night. This is why she suddenly questions the connection she seemed to enjoy a day ago. It's not about you, it's about what you represent the next potential wound. And this is where most men make one of two mistakes. They either chase harder, trying to convince her of their love, or they grow insecure, pulling back to protect their pride. Both approaches fail because both are reactions to her fear. But the man who understands this, he does something else. He stays still. He doesn't try to prove himself. He doesn't panic. He doesn't withdraw. He holds his position calm, grounded, steady. He lets her come back on her own. Because he knows her fear doesn't mean she doesn't care. It means she cares too much and it scares the hell out of her. Quirky comparison. Her emotional fear is like trying to dive into a cold lake at dawn. She stands at the edge, toes touching the water, retreating every time the wind blows. But what she's waiting for isn't warmth. It's reassurance that someone will still be there if she decides to jump. And your job, your power, is to be that calm, unwavering presence that doesn't disappear when the water gets rough. You don't need to force her past her fear. You just need to show her that her fear doesn't frighten you, that you're not like the ones who left, that your world doesn't rise and fall based on how much she gives or withholds, that even if she loves you first, she won't lose herself because you're not there to take. You're there to hold, not control, not chase, hold. So, when she pulls back, don't mirror her. When she hesitates, don't fill the silence with over explanations. Let your presence speak. Because if she's starting to fall and you panic, you confirm her fear. But if she looks back and you're still standing there quietly rooted, she starts to believe that maybe this time it's safe. And when she finally leans in, not because you asked, but because she chose, that connection becomes something most men never experience. Not manufactured, not forced, but earned. There's a moment. You won't always notice it. It doesn't come with fireworks or dramatic music, but it's there, silent, delicate, and deeply powerful. It's the moment she realizes she's starting to love you more than she expected, more than she planned, maybe even more than you love her. And in that moment, something inside her panics. She may not say it, she may not even admit it to herself, but the fear starts creeping in. What if I lose him? What if I've given too much? What if he doesn't feel this as deeply as I do? You think things are going great, you've been consistent, calm, emotionally available, and suddenly she starts to pull away, less responsive, shorter messages, a strange distance you can't quite explain. And here's where most men sabotage it. They chase, they question, they demand answers. But you don't do that because you understand something now. This isn't rejection, it's vulnerability in disguise. You've crossed a threshold. You're not just a guy she likes, you're a man she could lose herself in. And that scares her because she's been there before. And last time she didn't land softly, she fell hard, and no one caught her. Philosophers still debate the nature of attachment. Is love the loss of the self or the finding of it in another? For her, the answer is both, and that tension lives in every step she takes toward you. So what do? You don't over-explain. You don't beg for reassurance. You don't fold into neediness. You stay exactly who you are, anchored, available but not chasing, loving but not clinging. Because the man who becomes her deepest desire is never the one who needs her to feel worthy. It's the one who already knows his worth with or without her. Quirky metaphor time. You're like gravity. You don't yell, you don't run, you just are. And she feels your pull even when she's trying not to. You let your silence speak. Not cold, not distant, but steady. A kind of quiet confidence that whispers, I'm not going anywhere, unless you tell me to. That's when she stops testing. That's when she stops running. That's when she exhales, maybe for the first time in years. Because when a woman realizes she might love you more than you love her and you don't flinch, that's when she starts to trust that she's finally safe. So not because you said the perfect thing, not because you fixed her fears, but because your energy told her, you don't have to protect yourself with me. I'll never use your feelings against you. And here's the kicker. Once she feels that her walls don't just come down, they crumble. Not with drama, not with fireworks, but with quiet surrender. Because you weren't the man who demanded her heart. You were the one she chose to give it to fully. Freely, finally. She says she wants a man who listens, a man who respects her, who supports her dreams, who shows up emotionally, and you believe her. So you try to be that man. You nod politely. You never disagree. You always ask before making a move. You're soft, kind, agreeable, exactly what she said she wanted. But something's missing. You can feel it. She's not fully present. She smiles, but her eyes are elsewhere. She appreciates you, but she doesn't crave you. And it drives you crazy because you're doing everything right. But here's the hard truth no one taught you. Being a good man isn't enough if you don't have edge. She doesn't want you to be a jerk, but she doesn't want to lead the relationship either. She doesn't want to feel like the emotional adult in the room. What she's craving, but may never say out loud, is this: a man who leads. Not with dominance, but with direction. Not with control, but with certainty. Philosophers still debate the balance between power and vulnerability in modern masculinity. But in real life, it looks like this. You hear her feelings, but you don't absorb them like a sponge. You consider her opinions, but you make your own decisions. You love her deeply, but you never need her to define your worth. Because the second your energy starts revolving around her, she stops feeling safe. It's ironic. You try to give her the world, but end up giving her responsibility. And no matter how strong or independent she is, she doesn't want to carry the emotional weight of two people. Quirky analogy. Being the overly accommodating guy is like being a GPS that asks her for directions. Sure, she might guide you, but she'll never trust you to get her where she wants to go. She needs to feel your self trust in your voice, in your decisions, in your silence. And that doesn't mean being rigid or arrogant, it means having a spine. You don't need to yell, you don't need to puff your chest, you just need to stop asking for permission to be yourself. The moment you say things like, "Did I do something wrong? Are you mad at me? Should I have said it differently?" You're signaling something. She may not even consciously register, "I need you to validate me because I don't trust myself." And that's when desire dies. Because women don't want to mother you, they want to respect you. And respect only grows when you're anchored in who you are, when her storms don't throw you off course. When she's emotional and you stay grounded. When she pulls away and you don't chase. When she tests and you don't flinch. That's the masculine edge. It's not about being hard, it's about being unshakable. Because when you stop chasing her approval, she starts wondering why. She gets curious. She starts leaning in. Not because you're playing a game, but because she finally feels something real. Attraction, respect, trust, not built through performance, but through presence. You tell her she's everything, that you do anything for her, that she's your world, your light, your reason. You think it's romantic? You think it proves your love. But here's what she actually feels when you say that pressure. It's flattering at first, but slowly it starts to weigh on her. Because deep down, she didn't ask to be your everything. She just wanted to be part of your world, not the whole thing. There's a difference. When your entire emotional stability depends on her mood, her attention, her choices, she stops feeling like your partner and starts feeling like your emotional caretaker. And even if she doesn't say it out loud, she feels it. That heavy expectation, that unspoken need, that quiet voice saying, "Don't mess this up. He needs you." And women don't fall in love with need. They fall in love with freedom, with the man who is complete not because of her, but before her. Philosophers still debate whether love should complete us or expand us. But for her, the answer is clear. If loving you means losing herself, she'll walk away. Not because she doesn't care, but because she has to protect her identity. And here's where good men go wrong. They think love means sacrifice, so they bend, they shrink, they wrap their whole identity around her routines, her feelings, her approval. And without meaning to, they start disappearing. You want a quirky image? It's like handing her a beautifully wrapped box, and inside there's nothing but a mirror. All she sees is herself reflected back. And no woman wants to date a reflection. She wants you, with your own purpose, your own path, your own edges. When you live a life that inspires you, when you have passions, discipline, direction, that's when she wants in. Not because she's trying to save you, but because she sees a man who doesn't need saving. So stop making her your reason for waking up. Start waking up with a reason. Let her add to your life, not become it. Because when you're full on your own, she can relax. She doesn't have to perform. She doesn't have to carry your worth. She can just be. And that's when the real magic happens. Not because you gave her the world, but because you had your own and invited her into it. So when she says, "I don't want to be in a relationship right now," or "I need space," don't take it as a test of your worth. Take it as a signal to realign, to remember who you are without her, to come back to your center. Because the man she stays with isn't the one who gives up everything. It's the one who keeps everything and lets her witness it, feel it, respect it. She doesn't want to be your son. She wants to orbit something real. Now breathe. Let all of that settle. Let it soak through the layers of trying, chasing, overthinking. You don't need to fix anything right now. You just need to remember who you are when you're not trying to be chosen. Because she doesn't remember the man who gave the most. She remembers the one who made her feel something she couldn't explain. Not because he was loud, but because he was still. Not because he performed, but because he was present. She remembers the way she could exhale around him. The way her walls dropped, not all at once, but piece by piece, because his energy whispered, "You're safe here." You don't become unforgettable by saying the right things. You become unforgettable by being someone who doesn't disappear when it gets real, someone who can sit in silence without squirming, someone who doesn't need to be needed, but who can be leaned on anyway. And if you've ever wondered why she chose the guy who treated her like a backup plan, maybe it's not about what he had. Maybe it's about what you forgot. You forgot your center. You forgot your edge. You forgot that she doesn't want to be your strength. She wants to feel it. So don't try harder. Don't overthink. Don't chase what runs. Stand still. Root yourself. Speak less. Feel more. Because in the end, the man who makes her feel emotionally safe, not entertained, not impressed, but truly safe, that's the man she lets in. Not because she needed saving, but because you made her feel safe enough to stop saving herself. Let that be you.